Uh, Probably about 15 years ago, I wrote a book with two 1-hour DVDs to go with it. It was a general view of open tunings in general and their application in mandolin, banjo, guitar, slide guitar, dobro, all that. But there weren't any specific lessons. This one is going to be open E. This would be open E played by fretting the guitar, primarily. My history with open tuning starts with open E. I went to a small folk club in Fayetteville, North Carolina in 1966. Saw a guy named Tom Rush playing a big Martin guitar, and at some point he retuned the guitar, put this thing on his finger, and used it for accents in a few songs. And it was a small club, so break time, the performer would go on the street too sometimes. And so I went out and asked him what he was doing. He said, "I'm playing an open E in those songs." "What do you mean?" I ask. He says, "Instead of making the E chord," we know how to make an E chord, right? Let's make it right now. You wind up the strings to make the E chord without pushing them down. That's open E. It's the same chord. I've wound this G string up one note or one fret. That's because I pushed down there, and I wound up the D to an E, 2 frets, and the A to a B. So it's E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. Note these strings, the B, the E, and the E are the way they are in a regular tuning. So, the reason that open E is ideal, in my opinion, is that first, the relationships of the strings are such that the parts you're going to be making most of your chords on are the 4 center strings. The 2 strings on the outside are the root strings of this tuning. And almost everything you play will be compatible. These strings have the same relationship as the 4 strings of the 5-string banjo. This 5th string high here is the one that they put up here. So after you're done with this, you could play the 5-string banjo, among other things. The reason I like open E is because we've got this E string. Now we've got an E string, and when I strum this now, we know I'm making an E chord. If I knew the names of the note of this E string and I fret it, I'll probably make the chord of the same name. So E, you have to learn this. E, F. Then there's G, but there's one in between. So it's E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B. Now there's no gap. C, C sharp, D. There's the gap again, D sharp. And now we're at the octave. This is E again. So basically, 7 notes of the scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, were defined by Pythagoras. And it's a great story. We'll do that another time. He's walking by the blacksmith shop a long time ago, and he hears a guy going tang, tang, and another one ting, ting, ting. And from there, he started messing with strings and defined music with those 7 notes, the 8th note being the octave again. And that left these gaps. Doesn't matter. The gist is, if this E note is the open E chord, I've just made an open E. If I make this thing an F note here, now if I bar this thing, I made an F chord. I want an F sharp chord. G. Let's make a G chord. Hey. G. Don't need G sharp very often, but A is real handy. And A sharp, who cares? B, rock and roll, man. B. No gaps, C. Now we got a G and a C. Whoa. Now C sharp we don't care much about right now. D. G sharp. And now we're back to the E. So, we can make any major chord. Not bad. If you know the name of this E string in an open E tuning, you can make it in any major chord, including sharps and flats. Note that the G sharp is also an A flat. So not my fault. It's part of the secret language of music. That's why you pay guitar teachers, $40 an hour to learn this secret language. Chords of the first position. Along the way, note that we have an E string, an E string, and an E string. So whatever I do if I make a G note on this E string, this E string here, I'm going to make a G note. It's an octave lower, and this one, the G note. So now the B and this B are the same. So whatever I do to this one, I can do to this one. That's the B string. Keep that in mind. Okay. The three major chords in the key of E are going to be E, A, and B. So right away, one of the advantages of this particular tuning, open tunings in general, but this one is, try to make a full B major chord of the first position using a standard tuning. Man, B seventh is as close as you can get. This is a wonderful chord. Now to make it into a seventh and blues B, this thing, you add this little. So we got E, A, and B. It's La Bamba. It's every other song in the world. So right away, if we're going to have any kind of lesson above and beyond just where you put your fingers, remember this when we name this string. So here's E, A, B, here's E, A, B. I got two ways to play the same three chords. It keeps building from there. Now, one more thing. Since these two strings are the same, the B string and this other B string, and I'm fretting the B string at the second fret, the third string at the first fret, fourth string's open, fifth string, second fret. Now I'm fretting two B's here. And I got to work a little bit to hit this one. This is a very useful thing. Don't bother fretting this high B, because this high B note is the natural part of a chord that sounds real good. I think it's a full A. I'm not sure, I haven't investigated. Anyway, the A chord is just the index finger on the third string, first fret, and your middle finger on the fifth string, second fret. It's so easy. So, again, the B, these are all in the book, and I'll still the PDF of that sheet too. The first string, second fret, second string open, third string, third fret, and fourth string, second fret. Now, If you don't play the bottom string, it's great. If you want to play the bottom string, you wrap your thumb around. Today my thumb is injured from what I did a year ago, wrapping it around a obscenely wide fretboard. These are fine. If you can do it, you're home free. So, other chords of the first position. Remember, when you're playing this A chord, any time you can add this same string, or you could even take that off and play it like this. More chords at the first position. The next really useful chord of the first position is the full D chord. And that's this stair step, third string, first fret, fourth string, second fret, fifth string, third fret. It's a stair step, and it's in the little chord chart. Boom. Now remember what I've done to this B string here, I can do to this little B string over here. So this is an extremely useful chord. And this chord we can use to start maybe the next lesson or an extension of this one. Anyway, this is the full B, or the full D chord. And if you're into writing songs for more than 20 minutes, you'll know that it'll descend to this full A chord. So that's every other song that was written, hit song that was written with this change. It's everywhere. So that would be D, A, E. Minors. Real easy minor chord is that I learned from playing the banjo that the E minor chord and the C chord are directly related. Well, in this case, this is a C sharp minor. It's a C sharp minor. What happens is that you can really learn a lot about the fretboard by participating in the thought process of open tuning. To go from this minor to this major, we'll just press down on the third string, first fret. So there's your main major, your main minor chord, C sharp minor. Now, the last chord of the first position we'll learn is going to be the F sharp minor. Well, here's an E, here's an F, here's F sharp. So basically I'm kind of just making this F sharp, but I'm going to flat the third. In this case it's the third string, and I can't push them all down. So remember, almost any chord we play will be sympathetic if we leave these two strings open, the treble and the bass E. So here's your F sharp minor chord. And it's beautiful. Well, there's your chords at the first position. I mean, they're all easy. Basically, this is you're fretting all four of these, but the third string is back one fret. So technically, we've ended the first part of playing in an open E tuning. I'm going to continue. We've already learned, let's look at rock and roll in the key of E, three chords, E, A, and B. E, A, and B. Now if I do something in E, like play the A chord, I can do the same thing in A. I'm going to take this nut and magically glue it to my finger, okay? This is called the bar chord. This is really the first step to get to the next place. We know this note here is an A. So I'm making an A chord. So whatever I'm doing here in E, I can do here. There's the nut, there's the chord, there's the chord. Now let's do the B and get done with it. Where you're going to hear this is Rolling Stones recordings, some of the early recordings made in the motel with the single track battery powered. You're hearing that essentially. It's really in open A, which is everything moved that way, but you can hear it. So what we've done is we've created a movable nut, and some of the things that we learned up here are going to be applicable in a song. It consists of chords, chord changes. So here's the last, next to the last major part of this first. This is the essence of pretty much all of it, of the open E tuning. We played this D chord, or this D chord. Right away, I'm just going to get rid of this little one because we already know I don't need it. Okay. Well, it's an augmented chord. Let's go back. I'll play it. Here's a D chord. Now, here's D. We know there. We're in A, B, C, D, E, F, D, D sharp, E. B is 2 frets higher than D, where D is 2 frets lower than E. Doesn't matter. Here's a D. I want a new way to play an E. D, D sharp, E. That's a nice E, man, and not only that, you can play scales out of it. Well, we already know that if we're an E and we want to go up 5 steps, we're making an A. I'm in an E, right? I go up 5 steps. I'm playing an A. E, A. Let's finish it out with a B. And they're all beautiful. Get a good guitar with good intonation, low action. Here's another aside. So that's a major leap. When you can take a chord of the first position and simply move it up and down the neck and play the... So now remember, whatever I'm doing here, I can do here. Excuse me. Or here. Now you're playing lead. Boom. The ability to take a chord shape. Here's the last one. Remember this nice F sharp minor. Well, the airplane song goes from F sharp minor to C sharp, F, G sharp minor. So there we go again. You got this minor shape. You can play it anywhere. Here's your F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A minor, B minor, D sharp minor, C minor, excuse me, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, and another E minor. There's another E minor here someplace. If you got that with the sheet of paper where I'm showing you the same basic thing with the chord shapes and the names of the strings and frets, when I started, all I knew is that you could tune the guitar to make an E chord. I had no idea about, I made up my own theory of music. To me, an A chord meant that this thing was up 5 and a B chord was up 7. It was my own mathematical theory of music, and I didn't connect it to what we know as normal notes or chords until I got the 5-string banjo in the Earl Scruggs book. And when I saw they were the same thing I'd been playing for 5 years, and they had a name, and I could just transpose it. Here's the last thing. If you're playing bluegrass in an open E tuning, you put a capo on the 3rd fret, now you're in the key of G. It's bluegrass heaven. If you listen to all the Innocent Bystander recordings, when I'm playing the guitar, it's an open E on the 3rd fret, and it's right where it needs to be. I'm not going to demo that now. We'll do it later. playing in the open E tuning or open tunings in general opens up a wide avenue of the ability to play other forms of music, modify the way you play, and understanding what's going on becomes inherent in the learning process.